many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Woo! What a day out there in the world. People are losing their shit. They're coming undone. You know, it's incredible to see. They don't got both oars in the water. Their elevators aren't going to the top. The cheese has slipped off their cracker. The lights are on, but no one's home. How many screwed up people are there? There are an awful lot of them, folks. Some of them are just normal ding-dongs. Some of them run companies. Some of them are elected politicians. Some of these screwballs are police. A lot of them are politicians. Or should I say, a lot of the politicians are people who have lost their minds. And certainly we have plenty of un-American, well, people who hate freedom. This has got me the other day, or maybe it was a Zero Dark 30. I was thinking, why do they hate freedom? Not only do they hate it for themselves and they want it taken from them, they want it taken from you. They want everyone to suffer. Can you imagine being that hate-filled? Can you imagine making up lies about everyone and everything? Can you imagine being that hate-filled? It's incredible. Well, for me, it's unbelievable. But when I look out there, I see it. Now I believe it. They hate your freedoms. Like there's good cops, and then there's cops that want to take your driver's license. They want to take your life. They want to take this. They want to take your freedoms. They want to lock you up. They want to throw the key at you. They want you to go to prison. It's like, whoa, hey, pal, man. Why do you hate people so much? Why do you want to take from people what's theirs and destroy their lives? Wow. Unbelievable, but yet it's true. Believe it. Look right outside your window. Look down the street. Look at Washington, D.C. Look at these people. It is unbelievable, yet it's completely believable because they tell us with their words, with their actions, and in their manifestos, whether it's a commie-festo or a tranny-festo, it doesn't matter. Hey, we got Ooh Man in the house. Get your questions and comments down below. Do that. All kinds of stuff has happened today. It is Thursday Woes, as in, whoa, I can't believe what's going on around here. So, where do we start? Well, we're going to start with my 30-minute monologue, and we're going to go to your question and answer. But, ask this question. You watch me every single day. You have a chance to watch me twice a day. Now you get Saturday off, I know, but then we do Sunday Night Live. Ask yourself the question. Do I sound nuts compared to everyone else in Washington and the shit they're doing? For example, this is incredible. Get this, folks. Younger Americans are posting videos on TikTok, and guess what they're doing? Well, see, Osama bin Laden had a letter to America. Didn't Obama have some kind of letter to America? But no, this is bin Laden's letter to America. It's been public, but it got reproduced. It got ran again in the media. So these kids are reading Osama bin Laden's letter to America, which justifies the horror of terrorism and attacking and taking revenge out on innocent people. And these disgusting young idiots are praising the 9/11 leader, right? Osama bin Laden, Now, of course, I have my opinion that Osama bin Laden, who was good friends for decades with the United States government and the bin Laden family as construction subcontractors, among many other things. But the government decided to use him as a use him as a pariah. Not that he wasn't a pariah, but they decided to use him as one and blame him for 9/11. But he did have his letter to America. Hell, we don't even know if he wrote that letter to America, folks. We don't know. But it's attributed to him. But all of these twisted knaves, these foolish, naive morons are praising it. What they're saying is they agree with terrorism. They agree that the 9/11 death and destruction was justified. They agree with the motivations behind the mass murder of terrorists. And these people, folks, they live inside of our nation, and they're domestic enemies, every last one of them. They are an enemy to you. They're an enemy to your family, your business, your life, your city, your state. They're an enemy of all that is good because they believe evil is good. They believe evil is correct. They believe evil is the thing to be. They hate your freedom. They hate your liberty. Now, I do understand if you got a problem with the American government, have a problem with the government. If you have a problem with the Canadian government, have a problem with the Canadian government. If you have a problem with the British or New Zealand or Australian government, if you got a problem with the Chinese government, fine. But really, to justify killing Americans and blaming Americans, well, yeah, because this is the thing. They think Americans are supporting evil. No, Americans are not supporting evil. Why would they? Americans are not evil people. But we do have people in this country that hate America, that hate Americans. They're from other countries. They come here. And then there are people who are born here hate this country. And that is why we're in shit. It's the fan, folks. SHTF all Zave. Right? They do. And they are domestic enemies. And these same domestic enemies live inside London, England, as well as all the liver puddlings and all the other English and Scots and Irish. They hate their countries. And so they're inviting in terrorism and hatred. And they're destroying their traditions, their cultures, their belief system, their laws in England. They're doing the same in Germany. They want to do the same in Poland, but hey, I think it's having a little trouble. Or no, it's Hungary, as Viktor Orban. Right? People are trying to fight back. They're trying to elect politicians, statesmen, to lead their countries out of the darkness and back to something that resembles, how do we say this? Intelligence. Right? In Germany, they had the Alternative for Deutschland, right? The AfD. In Brussels, they had their guy, right? But Brussels, boy, folks, Brussels is an evil place now. European Union there and all. But this is it. Everyone is now coming to the party. And they've taken off their costume. And it's going to be a truth party. Who are you? That is going to be the truth question. They're taking off their masks and they're showing us that they agree with terrorism, that they think America deserves everything it gets from these fucking wacko Palestinian, Muslim, American hating Muslims, all of them. And folks, I know people of different religions and different faiths and different ethnicities, and they love America. So these people that we see, they are truly the enemies of America, and they're just very loud. But if they take their mask off and show us how ugly they are, what happens when they come and stand in front of you and say, tell us who you are? Are you going to put on a mask and say, hey, I agree with you, Mr. Terrorist Lover. I'm just like you. Yeah, fuck America. Yeah. Or are you going to leave that mask off to the side and say, you know what? You're a piece of shit. I'm an American and we love our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, our traditions, cultures, history, law, and you don't belong in this country. You don't deserve freedom and liberty. If you hate it so much, go somewhere else, right? But how many Americans are going to side with whoever they think is going to win? Or if they're too cowardly to tell some idiot person who says, I hate America and it deserves to be blown up. Fuck you, person, for saying that. But how many people will say that? How many will be just like, yeah, it's cool, man. Well, we know it's a large percentage of Americans who are afraid to stand up for themselves. They won't even, it's not that they won't stand up for their country and be willing to fight for their country. It's not that they won't even stand up for their own families and friends. They won't even stand up for themselves. Right? They are slave material. It is crazy, folks. Absolutely crazy out there. And it's not going to get any better. Not anytime soon. So we got more to talk about. Do we not? Hey. Michael Brown sent a $10 super chat donation right here to a weekday show. Thank you, Michael. I sure hope you're out there and you got a good question, good comment about what the fuck is going on, brother. Anyways, thank you very much, Michael. Everything comes in, super chat donations, and you know, down below. We normally only do them on Sunday Night Live, but from time to time, and especially Michael, he'll shoot one across the bow. Take that, John. It goes right into the GTFB and SB fund. That's the get the fuck back, stay back, don't run away. We need everyone here to fight fund. Right? And it, of course, buys a handsome supply of spam and tuna fish and the occasional bottle of scotch as we run out. Anyways, let us keep going if we shall. These people are lunatics on the left, folks. So I'm going to take you not into America, but I'm going to take you over to Europe to show you what America is trying to become. Right? Over in the country of Finlandia, right? There was a legislator, someone who works in the government, their version of Congress. And this person was charged with hate speech. So what did this Finnish lawmaker say? What could she possibly have said? Well, she quoted Romans 1:24-27. She quoted the Bible. And she was charged with a hate crime by a government prosecutor named Anu Matila. Right? She tried punishing Christians for being Christian. Right? Päivi Räsänen was a 62-year-old doctor, member of parliament, grandmother of 7, and Juhana Pahola. There's a guy who won World's Strongest Man competition twice. His name was Yoko Ahola. But this is not Ahola. This is Pohola. Anyways, this other person, Juhana Pahola, was a Lutheran bishop. They were charged with the crime of being intolerant to homosexuals because they shared a Bible quote. Now, should we be locking up Muslims for having a Quran and speaking the words out loud? Should we be doing that to Protestants, Catholics? What about chanting monks? What about the guys who walk around airports, trying to get you to buy their flowers and, whatever, right? This is how socialism works. It hates you. It hates your freedoms, especially, folks, freedom of speech. Now, in Finland, they don't have a Second Amendment. They hated that a long time ago and never had the government recognize the God-given right of self-defense. Someone's beating you up, beating you to death. Do you have a right to fight back? Not over there, folks. You can be charged with all kinds of crimes if you try and defend yourself. Anyways, speech. That's right. So they hate freedom so much, they'll charge you with hate for having a belief they don't agree with. And for merely uttering a word, right? That is how crazy they are. And that's a socialist country. Everything you see that is not free is socialist because the government has accepted the concept that they are the supreme authority. and that you as a peasant, a pissant, have no rights. You see where we go there? The government claims to be all powerful in other countries. America, the people, have the rights and the power. And the government has some authority, we give it. But we don't give the government authority to take away our speech, take away our guns, enter our homes, take our shit. Have fake, phony, plastic banana, good time rock and roll, Persian Bazaar, wacko-ass fucking court cases like they're pulling against Trump. He needs to win every single case. And he is so far. They're being thrown out left and right, folks. Left and right, because they're bullshit. But the January 6th protesters, they're being tried with kangaroo court nasty crap, with bullshit juries. They're being denied a fair hearing. They're being denied legal counsel. They're being denied the disclosure of all the evidence that the prosecutions have. The prosecution and the government are hiding evidence. It's exculpatory. It would free them. But this is how socialism works, right? What is socialism for $500, Alex? It's not good, that's for sure. Anyways, let us continue, shall we? This was incredible. Here's another one. Speaker, MAGA Mike Johnson. I know everyone loves to think that. Now, everyone not meaning us. I don't know whether you love to say that or not. I wish he was Make America Great Again Johnson. But anyway, Speaker MAGA Mike Johnson says that the impeachment inquiry, quote, has already shown corrupt conduct. He's talking about the Biden crime family. And he, Speaker MAGA Mike Johnson, is calling for key witnesses to testify under oath. Now, this is an inquiry. An inquiry only needs to see if there's any evidence at all, and then you have the actual impeachment. We don't need to do this for month after fucking month after month because we've already done it. The work has been done. The evidence has been compiled. You don't have to have everyone in the whole country believing that he needs to be impeached before you hold the impeachment. MAGA Mike Johnson could stand in front of the podium and say, okay, everybody, here we go. These are all the crimes that we've discovered Joe Biden has committed. Here's the fact. Fact 1, fact 2, fact 3, fact 4. This money, that money, taking bribes, covering for his son. Fucked up Afghanistan, got people killed. Southern borders open, took more money, bribes, Russia, China. Those are the facts. They're not disputable. This isn't a fucking trial. It's an impeachment hearing. Here is what he's done. Does this rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors? You fucking bet it does. Now let's have a vote. And if someone says that those aren't impeachable offenses, the high crimes and misdemeanors that Joe has committed with him and his family, right? Write their names down in a book. They're going to have to answer for it. Then it goes over to the Senate, and the Senate tries it. What we're playing here with Speaker MAGA Mike Johnson is a fucking game of how long can we drag this stupid shit out. Impeach him now. Put it on the Senate to try the information, to try the evidence. See, that's where the trial happens. You don't need an inquiry to find evidence. The evidence is already there. You don't need to have an impeachment trial and go, is this real? Is this? No. You get the evidence, gather and go, oh, shit. And you hand it to the Senate and they try it. And if the president wants to defend himself, that is the trial. The Senate holds the impeachment trial. And if he's found guilty there, then comes the sentencing. But they're playing this fucking game. They're stretching it out. I don't want him, no matter what. They could have 6 fucking year inquiry into Biden, produce 500 misdemeanors, 100 felonies, and 10 counts of treason, and the Democrats would still deny any of it was true because it's a partisan fucking game. It is. It is absolutely partisan. Everything is politicized now. You want some evidence? Here you have it. There's a guy named, and I'm going to fuck his name all up, Leo Ad-Delfata Al-Naji. He is a pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel protester. Guess what? He has been charged with a crime because he killed a Jewish man in America, Paul Kessler. I believe he's the one who got hit over the head, Paul Kessler, with a fucking megaphone, and it killed him right there on the street. This big fat piece of shit who loves terrorism killed him. Well, they're charging him with involuntary manslaughter. Who does this guy think he is? St. George Floyd? He's a fucking criminal. He beat another old man senseless and killed him. He beat him with a heavy, blunt object. He should be charged with murder because of his violence and his support for terror based on ethnicity. Isn't that the basis for a hate crime? If you commit a crime based on ethnicity or someone's sexual preferences. In fact, I have to ask this question. This came up today. There's a great question. Just because you put your penis in another man's hairy bunghole, why do you need a flag for that? And why do you need a whole month to celebrate it? These fucking people. The rainbow crowd, folks, they're not going to do well with the Palestinian crowd. Just you wait. And speaking of the Palestinian crowd, we need to get into that. They clashed with Metro Police. Yeah, they finally gotten out of hand. Funny how they didn't go after the Jews, right? The Jews for Israel, the March for Israel in Washington. Why didn't they go there? Instead, they wanted to clash with Metro Police. And where did they do it? See, the pro-Palestinians did not go to the Million-Man Jewish March. I don't know how many it was, but it's a lot. They didn't go there. You know where the pro-Palestinian radical violent asswipes who are pro-Palestinians, BLM types, Antifa types, they went to the Democrat National Headquarters, the Democrat National Committee, the boss office, the big office, the headquarters for the Democrats in Washington, D.C. That's where they went. Now, I don't know if these violent protesters are going to be sent to the D.C. gulag for 3 years while they await trial. They've actually committed violence. I don't think the D.C. police went and attacked them. They started getting in their face. They got out of hand. But again, think about this. You've got, let's just say, for argument's sake, we're going to take the number from 1 million down to 100,000 Israeli Jewish people holding a march, a gathering. Why didn't the 1,000 radical pro-Palestinians go over there and fight the 100,000 Jewish people? You see, we're supposed to believe that the Palestinians are thousands of them everywhere, and I know there are thousands of them, that they're so brazen and bold that they'll take on America. Oh, really? If these people had those kind of numbers and big, giant brass cojones beside, they'd be marching down your street right now, just like Antifa and BLM did. Remember that? Remember when they were demanding people give them a place to sleep and give them food as they marched by, flashing, putting bright lights, flashlights in people's houses and using a bullhorn and waking people up who have fucking jobs and pay taxes? Why isn't the pro-Palestinian crowd doing that? Will they? They could. They could, folks. These people are anti-American and they are scum. But they're afraid of the Jews. So they go after who? The Democrats. In all truth, it might be a wiser move because the Democrats are responsible. That's right. The Democrats are in charge. They're responsible. You betcha. I tell you, right? I've got an article. The Washington Post, didn't cover the story of 300,000 Israeli Jewish people marching in Washington, D.C. So that seems to be the number that most places are saying. Yeah, about 300,000. 300,000, 200,000, 100,000. Why weren't they attacked? I really thought they would be. I thought they would want to have a big racial/religious melee, but it did not happen. Nope, it didn't happen. We got some stuff going on, folks. We got some stuff. Let me tell you who is helping to fund and who is helping to coordinate these protests around the country where these terrorist supporting groups come out. Well, according to Mark Dubowitz, he says that American multimillionaires are. And by the way, these American multimillionaires who are supporting this, helping coordinate it and fund them and get them out in the street, they're Marxists. They're communists. They hate America. They want to destroy it. So they're funding all of the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist rage. I'll give you their names. Neville Roy Singham and his filthy wife, Jody Evans. They are also, folks, Chinese propagandists. That's right. And they are being accused of, allegedly being pointed to as the primary, main source of support and effort to help violence explode onto the streets of America. China, huh? They like China. They're Marxists and they like China. That's pretty interesting. Did you hear about the limousine driver who had President Xi Jinping of China was driving him around? He almost ran over a U.S. Marine. The Marine, having a Tiananmen Square moment, decided to get out of the way, hopped out of the way at the last second. What would have happened if the Chinese president's limo driver hit the United States Marine and knocked him over or ran him over? Would the Chinese claim that the American jumped in front of him? Would the Chinese claim that was an act of impeding Xi Jinping? I love how they call him president. He's president for life, folks. He's a fucking dictator, right? Would that have been an act of war to run over a military member? Well, luckily it didn't happen. Close call, Tiananmen Square moment, I tell you. Woo! But Joe Biden knows exactly who Xi Jinping is. He's not president. He's a dictator, right? And so, folks, Secretary of State, asswipe Anthony Blinken, he had to cover for Joe Biden, who had an off-script moment, right? He agreed that Xi Jinping is a dictator. Literally, folks, and here we go. So a reporter asked Biden, who commented and called Xi Jinping months ago a dictator, said, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? So yeah, he's referring to the statement Biden made back in June during a California fundraiser. He called Xi a dictator, right? So Biden answers in this. Now, Biden was using his own words, no teleprompter here. He said, look, he is. He's a dictator in the sense that he's a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours. Well, thanks, Biden. So what is a dictator? Biden says Xi is a dictator. Funny how Biden wants to act like a dictator. But it's dictators, it's not really even a form of government. But he runs a communist country based on a form of government, a dictatorship. What is a dictator? A dictator is an authoritarian who is the sole decision maker of a nation, who rules without question from a constitution or set of laws, a legislature, or a judicial authority where the people have no say in the decisions under which they exist. That is a dictatorship, and the dictator is the one who is godlike. Hitler was a dictator of a political system called socialism. Stalin was a dictator of a political system called socialism. And Chairman Mao of China was a dictator of a form of government called socialism. And again, Biden said, quote, he's a dictator in the sense that he's a guy who runs a country that is a communist socialist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours. Yeah. Those guys were all dictators. And between the three of them, just Hitler, Stalin, and Mao, more than 100 million people were murdered, plus casualties of war they waged on other civilians and other nations. That's what dictators are, and that's what dictators can do. Why do you think the government of the United States in Washington, D.C. hates our rights so much? Because our Constitution, our liberties, our Declaration of Independence makes it very hard for dictators to just take control of this country. Doesn't work for them. I tell you, doesn't work for them. All right, we are at the 30-minute mark. Let's go to the inner circle, shall we? And here we are. Mr. T, I still have not gotten to all those emails. Don't have time. In fact, you can ask man, I got in here a minute late. Didn't even have time to sit down and have a beer or anything. Not a bit. It's from one job to the next. From the frying pan into the fire. This is how every day goes for me because I care about these topics so much. Let's get it on. Mr. Uman, who wants to step up first? And Uman volunteers himself. He says, I accidentally listened to Potato Joe's speech yesterday. Seemed coherent for the first few minutes. Then he started slurring his words and then started rambling off script. Meds must only be lasting 5 minutes now. I'm absolutely certain they probably pump them full of a cocktail, quite possibly intravenous, of B12 and other B complex, as well as other, shall we say, uppers, things that up his energy and his mental acuity, but he sure wears out fast now, doesn't he? Starts slurring his words. I believe yesterday while he was meeting with Xi, he started to make an off-color comment and they cut the microphone. It's incredible. They cut the microphone. Now, this is what's crazy. Is even Biden is now being censored because there are leftist claims of disinformation. Yeah, not even Biden can say what he wants. And this is what gets me. Who made the lying, cheating, sniveling bastards in the mainstream media, social media, and big tech? Who made them the truth gods? Have we not learned that the jackasses that were running Twitter before Elon Musk got there, they thought they were the police of speech and the police of thought. And when Musk took over, they tried crying, whining, complaining, sniveling. They even threatened him. Right? You're not going to do what you want with this company or we'll quit. And he's like, fuck you, get out. YouTube, same story, except they haven't been bought by Elon Musk. Google, Amazon is putting fucking PayPal. A bank is going to tell you what you can think. We're in trouble. Yeah, I think the meds are only lasting 5 minutes or less now. But what's crazy, Mr. Uman, is how many Americans are or need to be on psychiatric medication. How many psychotics, how many schizophrenics are out there? I know I'm not schizophrenic. I just asked myself 5 minutes ago and I told myself I was fine. These people are incredible. I did not ask myself. But I tell you what, there's a lot of dangerous people out there. And they look just like you and me, except no one's really this blonde. So that's a rare thing. Anyways, once again, having a little bit of fun and humor. But yeah, he is a wind-up puppet, Joe Biden is. He says some of the darndest things. Crazy. All right, Mr. Uman, let us continue. Thank you, sir, for always sharing your opinions. And now we roll on to Mikey G. And he says, now that JB, meaning Jim Beam, Jason Bourne, James Bond, Joe Biden. Now that Joe Biden has total control over the internet, how long till the blackout and EMP? I didn't know Joe Biden has total control over the internet. How long till the blackout and EMP? I don't know. You know, if Joe Biden had control over the internet, he would silence me. Joe Biden does not have control over the internet. Right? He has control over whether or not it's turned on or off, whether or not doors are open or closed. But that's really something that I find amazing, Mike. And I'm not putting you down here, buddy. I'm just, I want to make the point. What they're trying to control is you and me from communicating with one another. They can't control the internet. They can't. It's uncontrollable. It's like herding cats. It's an incredible network of computers. Just about anything you want to know anywhere. It's out there on someone's computer. Someone has an opinion. They shut that door to that person and that information pops up over here and over there. Well, they're doing their best. I really do realize how censorship works. Go ahead, go on YouTube and look up Boston bombing. See if you can find all of the evidence of tomfoolery and fuckery at that false flag. You won't find it. You won't find the Hulk there. The guy whose pants were shredded vertically from his knees down, 1-inch strips, evenly torn and ripped. I'll get to that here in a minute, Mr. Uman. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So you won't find that. You won't find Artery Man. You won't find Cowboy. You won't find Legless Dude. You're not going to find that stuff. You're not going to find the smoke bombs and fans and all the special effects crap. You won't find all the videos that were just completely exposing the lies of that and Handy Sook and Aurora and every other bullshit false flag, because they are controlling it. Now, they are upping their game, trying to control it. Can we, the people, get around it? Let's take a look. Now, Mr. Uman, let's take a look at what you got there. Pretty please. The Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, is a bureaucracy like the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, the DHS, the DOJ. The FCC is implementing new rules banning internet providers from discrimination in how they provide service to communities based on income level, race, and other protected classes. You see, the government is actually prohibited, by the way, of titles of nobility. And I believe that someone needs to sue the federal government because protected classes smack of titles of nobility, as if one citizen is better than the other because the government has prescribed or knighted them or have them on a higher plane, right? You can't have protected classes. That violates the titles of nobility, the spirit of the law, the understanding that no one is better than anyone else. Yet we have these fucking protected classes. Now, bag of worms. Yeah, you bet it is, man. They got new rules banning the providers, not banning me and you. Banning providers of discriminating in how they provide service to communities. Now, this is interesting. Based on income level. So what they're saying is Viacom or Spectrum or Frontier. Name your telecommunications company. They're not allowed to discriminate based on income level. Well, if no one is paying their fucking bills, they should turn it off, right? Communities based on income level or race. Hey, we don't want to give the internet to that race of white folks over there. Right. And other protected classes. Do you really believe that there's discrimination against blacks, Hispanics, homosexuals? These communications companies are pandering to all the diversity, equity, and inclusion that they can. They're sucking up to it. So it's incredible that, That's going on. Now, Mikey G says there's new legislation that passed today. The Internet Infrastructure Bill. I think that's what we're talking about. Is it? Yes, thank you, Mr. Uman. That's exactly what we're talking about. Internet Infrastructure Bill. Now, let's just imagine on the Alaskan tundra, way up inside the Arctic Circle, there is a community of, let's make this community formerly Venezuelan gay pancake makers. That's the community, Venezuelan gay pancake makers up in the Arctic Circle. Well, it's a pretty small group of people, folks. There's only 7 of them. And if they said, we want you to bring internet to us up here, we want you to bury a fucking cable in the ground and get it up here. We want our internet, damn it. Would they deny them based on the fact that they are pancake makers or gay or formerly Venezuelan? No, they'd say there's not enough fucking money to do it. Right? We're not going to spend $20 million running a cable through the ground just so you fruitcake, pancake flipping Venezuelans can have internet. The decision about whether or not to provide that infrastructure should be based on, do they pay their fucking bills? Is there a return on investment that makes sense? You know, standard fucking business practices, Econ 101. Or would that be Econ 102, man? That may be a more advanced type of thinking. Yeah, you don't spend money where it doesn't make fucking money. But, you know, here we are. It's that kind of world where they want to spend a bunch of money where it's not needed and doesn't do a bit of fucking good, with a bunch of people who can't afford it, won't afford it, don't give a shit to afford it. They expect everything for fucking free. Hello, communists. Interesting. I mean, these people know no bounds. Seriously, let me throw some more shit at you guys. Right? It's Thursday Woes. Now, remember this sorority? Kappa Gamma. They had women inside this sorority pissed off because a 6'2" biological penis and testicle having man claimed to be a woman and wanted to join the sorority. So there were women within the sorority, Kappa Gamma, who said no. And they sued, trying to protect themselves from a creepy, perverted, sick freak who allegedly, folks, loved to stare at the girls as they got dressed and undressed and were naked. As if he's a perverted nerd relying on fake gender identity to be around women since he's a fucking loser. Does that sound like it's pretty accurate? Right? And folks, guess what? Kappa Gamma expelled the women who stood up for themselves and for their rights, for them, for being decent. That's how crazy the world is right now. Well, we need an internet infrastructure bill. Remember when Al Gore was the president? I'm sorry, Vice President of the United States, Al Gore? He claimed he invented the internet. Do you guys remember that shit? We're talking almost 25 years ago, over 20 years ago. These fucking people have lost their minds. They lost them decades ago. The consequences of Al Gore saying, I invented the internet, is this fat fuck who claims to be a woman thinking he should be in a sorority so he can stare at women. Whether or not he's a man or a woman, you shouldn't be staring at someone else who's naked or getting dressed. That's where we're at, folks, in this world. We need an internet infrastructure bill. No, we need common fucking sense. But we're not going to get it, folks, because why? We're not at the bottom yet. You can't start going back up until you reach rock bottom. How close are we to rock bottom, man? How close are we, man? Every day I wake up going, have we gotten there yet? I actually know that we haven't. One of the telltale signs of hitting rock bottom is when good people try and take back their country. When you have violence in the streets, you're pretty much at rock bottom. When you have absolute chaos, a maelstrom of violence, you know you're at rock bottom. Like the French Revolution, the American Revolution. Now, will our revolution revolt, or our violence that erupts as a consequence of our disgust for the stupidity of government? Will it be an organized revolt, or will it be a chaotic revolt like the French had? Oh, the French had an awful revolution, folks, shortly after the American Revolution. And they couldn't put together a government that was worth a shit. Consequently, they had political murder, political terrorism, chaos, and trouble. But it's interesting, though, is they didn't have it as bad during those times as they did when King Louis and Marie Antoinette were telling people that they could eat the fucking crust out of their ovens if they got hungry. You know, cake. This is where we're at, folks. We got to hit rock bottom before we can start to go up. That's how it is. All right, we got Chin Music. Al Gore. Chin Music says, Al Gore also froze to death in the ice. He predicted it. Oh, wait. Yeah, ice age. That's right. Back in the 70s, we're going to have an ice age. Climate change was getting colder, colder. But no. It actually started getting warmer. Not colder again. Wait, it's just climate change. Yeah. Al Gore. What a special fucking fruit. Now, back in the 90s, I remember, because I was in the oil industry for a couple of years, and I absolutely realized that it was a money sham. That manufacturing plants that I was working with were trying to reduce their carbon output, and that they were selling carbon credits. So this company over here produces no carbon, but they have so much GDP, so they get carbon credits, and they can sell those carbon credits to other companies who can then claim that they're carbon neutral because they bought someone else's carbon credits. So they're trading and selling and buying and paying taxes. And then they're like, hey, why don't we just fucking tax everyone on their carbon footprints? And they started that shit. Carbon bad, carbon bad, carbon bad. They turned the temperature up to 2,000 degrees on you for about an hour. You know what's going to be left? A pile of carbon. That's right. You and I are made out of carbon, yet carbon evil. This is how perverted they are. Anyways, all good topics. Man, where are we at? Holy bananas, I've been going for 48 minutes. Well, let's go over to Name Redacted and see what he has to say. He says, John, thank you. He says, John, the pervasive evil design is to keep us busy on the wheel and answering to authorities while they run the board. Dump more marbles on the parade route and entrench their own desires and people. Is that it for that comment? That's it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Man. He's waving me off. That's it. That's what you get. It is a very evil design that they're working on. Ultimately, this is what they want. Let me tell you what the powers that be want. They want a population reduced to approximately 500 million. They want all property to be owned by them. They want you to own nothing. And they say you'll be happy, as if that's a great sales point. But they want to own everything. They want to own the house, the cars, the bikes, the roads, the businesses, the food, the water, the air you breathe. They want to own it all. And they want to tell you you should be happy that they own it all because they're going to make you a deal. You see, now they own everything. It's a giant corporate plantation. And what they'll say is, you will work for us and we'll give you some stuff that you can eat and it'll keep you alive. You can call it food if you want, but we know it's actually bugs and chemicals. They'll give you a job. They'll give you a place to put yourself. If you have any stuff, it'll be loaned to you by the business. There was this thing called the company store. It used to be that they say there was a railroad town. And the railroad town built houses. The railroad town had its own general store. And they would have people come and they'd say, we're going to give you some housing. You don't own it, but you can live in the house over there. And if you want food, you have to go buy it at that store that the railroad company owns. And so people would go work. They'd work for the railroad. They would be given some housing and they'd be getting enough food to subsist, but they weren't making any money. And they realized that, hey, it's a fucking sham, right? We're being forced to buy at the company store. We're being forced to take company housing, and we're not getting ahead because the company owns everything. Well, that fucking model proved out to be really good for the company. Everyone else, not so much. They want to keep us busy, not seeing that that's their goal while we fight the authorities in charge, saying, you don't own me, you don't own me, you don't own me, while the banks and the businesses are doing everything they can to buy up all they can, including the government. Folks, the company owns the government. The company owns the property. The company owns everything. They even claim they own the fucking air. You can pay an oxygen tax. If you can pay a carbon tax, you can pay an oxygen tax. You need to stop breathing. You don't get to have all that oxygen you want. Right? What did the government call us? Useless eaters? Who said that shit? We're useless eaters. Well, I know someone, if you're like, ooh, man, you're working your ass off, you're making money, you're providing jobs to people and paying taxes. He's not a useless eater. The useless eaters, we know who they are. The people that aren't producing, aren't paying taxes, are living off everyone else. Why is it that the government, who claims that we are useless eaters, does everything they can to create as many useless eaters as they can? Because it's part of their pervasive evil design to cause us to hate each other, to fight each other, ultimately to destroy everything. And they're thinking that we're going to abandon our rights at some point. Abandon our rights. Unbelievable. And these people really are that stupid, folks. They are that stupid, right? Texas has a bill to make illegal border crossing from Mexico into Texas. They're going to make it a state crime, right? States have a right to make their own criminal rules, just like the federal government claims they do. Well, there's this idiot woman in the state assembly, their legislature. She says that's racist. Of course, an idiot would say that a law protecting the state from being invaded by people who are trying to destroy it because they're non-producers and they want everything for free. And of course, an idiot would say that's racist because there is no logical argument in defense of what these people are doing, this pervasive evil design. There really is no logical argument or support for what they want, other than they want to own everything. They want to make the rules. They want to run the board, and they want us fighting with each other over it. Anyways, this fucking idiot racist woman, right? She's the racist because she makes everything about racist, right? There's no logical argument, folks. So these people on the left, including the Hamas supporters and pro-Palestinian supporters, all they can do is appeal to emotion like animals do. They're scared. That's what they've got. That's all they've got. So they scream racist, 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 right? Oh, we got trouble, folks. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Okay, let us eat some lettuce. Let us continue, if we shall. We got 5 minutes to go, and Uman steps back up. And this is interesting. And I'm glad you brought this up, Uman. He says, hey, hypocrisy of all media is on display with Ben Shapiro. He tells the right what they want to hear, and he preaches free speech. And then he bragged about letting Daily Wire's employees express all their opinions. Then he lost his bananas. He lost his shit because Candace Owens has a different opinion on Israel that Ben Shapiro does not agree with. So, they start a pissing match. And Uman says they're hypocrites, one and all. That's why I tell you, think for yourselves. You can listen to me. You can listen to Uman. You can listen to Ben Shapiro. You can listen to Candace Owen. Test the information. Test its inversion backwards, right? Check the information front and back. Check and ensure the supporting documents, the supporting thoughts are logical, that, they measure up to scrutiny. Now, Candace Owen, she can have whatever fucking opinion she wants. I've got no problem with that. Ben Shapiro, you want to have any opinion you want. It's just funny to me that someone like Ben Shapiro, who claims to be the authority on everything, he's got some marginal or actually pretty good debate skills. He's not guilty of logical fallacy too often, but it's often enough that I catch it. Kind of like Jordan Peterson. A lot of these people claim to be the pinnacle of hyperintelligence when they're just really good speakers. I'm not perfect. Uman's not perfect. Jolene, not perfect. But we're trying to do our best. And we're trying to get information out there. What I do see, though, is that the world is a fucked up place. Can anyone support an argument to the contrary? Right? These people in the media, folks, they want to shut each other up. They want to shut us up. They want to claim that they're the arbiters of truth and fact. I mean, here we've got this story right here. Folks, the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, they were forced to apologize. They didn't come out and apologize on their own. They were forced to apologize because they claimed that the Israeli Defense Forces, quote, targeted medical teams and Arab speakers. Right? There was a raid on Hamas, their base that was under a hospital. Why would the BBC apologize over this claim that the Israelis targeted medical teams? Well, because they were wrong. The BBC was wrong. That is the only reason they would apologize. Forced means there was incontrovertible proof that Hamas lied. So BBC media, a lot of these right-wing media sources, they're pushing their own agendas, right? And we're getting a bunch of divide, folks, divisiveness. What I want from you and what I hope from you is to understand what my agenda is. My agenda is for you to get prepared, for you to be prepared up here, as well as having food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. I was writing a couple of quick little messages that got blipped out. I was getting a drink at work, having a quick moment. Sent a message to a friend and said, things are getting kind of nasty in Boston and D.C. and places around the country where these left-wing lunatics are starting to light up the police and start having their mobs, their mob rule, their mob tactics, their mob chaos. Everybody thinks that prepping is stupid. But when things go to shit, right, what is going to be observed and recognized as one of the wiser things to have done? Well, making sure you have food and water and shelter, making sure you have a plan, make sure you are up on current events and you understand who the problems are out there. I don't care, folks, if you're of Arab descent. I don't care if you're of African descent. I don't care if you're of Scandinavian or even Russian or Chinese descent. I don't care. What happens when shit goes bad and I see the way you're behaving, right? It's not a white game to me. It's how are you behaving, and right, that's how I'm going to judge people. Their behavior tells me who they are and what they believe. Because when shit is going chaos, crazy, folks, you find out real fast who is on your side and who isn't. And you're going to find out that most people are not going to be on your side. Are you going to be able to protect yourself, hide, be gray man, be a porcupine? Will you have a group, a community that comes together? These are the things you should be thinking about. And then understanding that 10-mile radius around you. Right, there's you, 10-mile radius. Are you prepared to deal with the consequences of idiotic behavior? It's going to come from government. It's going to come from the police departments. It's going to come from civic organizations. It's going to come from community organizers. It's going to come from organized protest groups. There's also going to be idiotic behavior coming from people who think they've got their shit together. They're going to claim that they're preppers or that they're Americans. You'll know them by their actions as well. Right? They're going to run around and go, everybody, we need to put all of our food right out here in the middle of this street so everyone gets a fair share, and that way we're all good. Does that sound American to you? Sounds rather communist to me. How much you want to bet? How much do you want to bet? Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Get yours fine-tuned and get all of those supplies that you need. Because when you need them and don't have them, you're going to wish you did. If things get nasty and crappy, and there's going to be hot spots, folks. The whole world won't be fist fighting. It won't look like the last scene there in Kingsman, but there's going to be hot spots. And folks, I saw a very small town, population 10,000 in Northern California back in 2020, teeter on the verge of lunacy. That's right, the St. George Floyd crap, small town, because a handful of idiots wanted to cause problems. It only takes a small number to start a tidal wave of stupid. Are you prepared? Hey, and chance does favor the prepared mind. Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a clever saying that everyone's like, it sure does. Anyways, Godspeed to you. Semper Fi.